You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 12th meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff Merit Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Welcome you to the March 12th, 2025 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department Merit Board. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Or if you would.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just for the record, Jonathan is not here today. Had other obligations, but we do have a quorum, so we're able to proceed. Did all members receive a copy of the minutes from last month? Yes. Are there any corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
How are you today?
Well, spring is in the air.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
I know it's still early yet. It's early March. It's teasing us, but that sunshine and warmth has sure felt nice the past couple of days.
Friday's going to be the big tease.
Friday's going to be even better. So yeah. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. You'll see that our calls for service between January and February increased. Our total calls for service increased 7% from 1,882 to 2,022. Our crash reports decreased 9% from 116 to 106. Our traffic stops increased 20% from 724 to 870. Our car air crashes decreased 40% from 40 to 24. In year-to-date versus 2024, we've seen a 4% decrease in our calls for service. In 2024, year-to-date, we answered 4,081 calls compared to 2025, which we are at 3,904 calls for service. None of these stats are surprising or surprise me any. They are all, a lot of it this time of year is weather dependent on our crashes and everything else, or our traffic stops. And we haven't had the heavy snowfall to see the slide-offs and the crashes. And we're seeing more traffic enforcement this time of year because we haven't seen the snow. The weather's nicer. We're seeing more traffic enforcement. So none of these stats are concerning to me at this time. Deputy Daniel Diaz has finished his FTO and has begun his assignment to the afternoon shift. He is doing very well, and everybody's talking well on the job that he's doing on afternoons. Deputy Adam Needles continues his training at NYLEA. I think he's expected to graduate sometime in April. When I do get that date, I will be glad to pass it along to you if you wish to attend the graduation ceremony. As a reminder, the Indiana Sheriff's Association and the Neil Thompson Scholarships are available. The Indiana Sheriff's application is available through Captain Allen, and the Neil Thompson Scholarship can be found through the Unity Foundation's website. There's a link you can go on, click, and fill it out. I would like to remind everybody, if they're interested in filling out the Neil Thompson Scholarship, please do so soon, because the closing date's coming up here this month. On March 7th, Deputy Micah Dokmanovic was presented with this year's First Responder Advocate for Mental Health Justice Award in Indianapolis. We would like to congratulate her on that. This stems from the work that her and Sergeant Lear do with what they call crisis interventional training. It's a new program that's come out that teaches the officers how to differently handle individuals who are having some mental health episodes versus bringing them to jail and seeking alternative sources and help these individuals. She's got a real passion for it. She's been really kind of doing a lot of the yeoman's work with Sergeant Lear and spearheading the CIT training that we do every year. So we're very proud of the work that she's done, and it obviously shows that she was awarded this award this year. So congrats to her. The promotional testing update, we've had 26 deputies announce their intention to seek promotion. We have 4 that are seeking the promotion of major, 8 seeking the promotion to captain, and 14 that are seeking the promotion to sergeant. As a reminder, the interview dates have been set. They're October 14th, 15th, and the 21st, with the test date being November 18th. I'd like to wish all the candidates good luck in this upcoming process. We're all very familiar with Bob Walensky. He's an active photographer in our community. He's did a lot of work, and Bob has recently been ordained as a deacon within the Catholic Church. And last year he approached me and told me that he was going through this process to be ordained as a deacon in the church and wanted to come on board as a chaplain with our department. And we started the chaplaincy program under Sheriff Boyd several years ago. We have had several chaplains serve the sheriff's office, but the ones that we have had have moved on to different communities. Some have even completely moved out of state. So we didn't have any chaplains at the moment, and Bob was interested in becoming. Well, Bob reached out to me, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. He had just finished up his training, I guess you want to call it, and asked if he can come on board. So we brought Bob Walensky on board as chaplain. He's super excited to be available to the men and women of the sheriff's office for any needs. So. Captain Heineck and I met with other local officials, and we have begun the planning process. You're not going to believe this, but for the Great Lakes Grand Prix, which will be held the first weekend in August. This has become more of a year-round planning session. It seems like we just wrapped up last year's boat races, and we had some after-action reviews. But we've said last month in February, we've held our first meeting on the planning process of this year's boat races already. Our next meeting for that will be March 25th, and then we will be meeting, I think, monthly up until we get closer to the boat races. Then we'll be meeting probably weekly up until the boat races. You know, as a reminder, this is a huge attraction for this area. They say that next to the Indianapolis 500, this is the second biggest single event in the state of Indiana. So this just tells you how large this event has become, and we're in the 15th year of doing this. And the CVB and the Convention Visitors Bureau and everybody they actually came to us last year, and they wanted to see a much larger presence by the sheriff's office at these boat races, and we're glad to help out in any way possible to make things safer for everybody involved.
Sheriff, listening to some people that are involved in that, I know that they're expecting a huge increase in the number of boats that are going to be participating, especially the big ones.
They've changed race organizations this year, and they're expecting probably double the number of boats that we normally have seen, which is going to create some logistical issues in parking and everything else. We've discussed that quite a bit at our last meeting, but there's going to be a lot more of the bigger boats, so to speak, this coming year than we've seen in years past. And everybody likes to see the big boats because they obviously go faster and everything else. So, yep. Coming up next week on Thursday, March 20th, we'll have our yearly state jail inspection. That's completed by the Indiana Department of Corrections. I would just like to add that, in years past, we get inspected every year, and we always pass that inspection. They don't give you a grade, but we always with no issues found, and I'm very pleased. It's just a testament of the dedication and the work that the men and women in the jail do on a daily basis, that we pass these inspections basically with flying colors. And when the inspector comes in, he tells us, he says, trust me, you've got no issues with you guys in the jail here and everything else. You guys have a top-notch facility and top-notch team. So just like to give them a shout out with that. So. Coming up here at the end of the month, we will be hosting a traffic enforcement blitz along US 20 next week in conjunction with 12 other states. This is something that's been going on for the last couple of years, and it actually was spearheaded by the Iowa State Patrol. And this will be along US 20 and the State Road 2 corridor. Also on that, I was approached by Sheriff Redmond over in St. Joe County, and if you've seen any of the news media lately, they've been conducting some traffic enforcement blitz on State Road 2 where they're building that Amazon Center with all the increased truck traffic coming in and out and everything. He reached out to me and asked if I would like to partner with him and we can conduct some traffic enforcement blitz along that State Road 2 US 20 corridor coming in and out of there, and absolutely. So we're going to, once the weather kind of starts to break a little bit, we're going to partner with him and conduct some traffic enforcement up there. And we're going to increase our traffic enforcement. And going back to 2024 stats, just to kind of give you a perspective, our deputies made 9,447 traffic stops. That's a lot on top of their other daily duties that they do. Out of those, about 2,000 were citations. So out of the nearly 10,000 traffic stops, only about 2,000 were citations. So that shows that the officers aren't out there just to write tickets. They're not out there to meet any quotas or anything like that. They're using good discretion, and the stats show it that only about maybe 20% of the actual traffic stops lead to citations. So, but we are going to increase our traffic enforcement this year. We recently had a supervision meeting, and that was one of my number one goals to the captains, was because of we've seen an increase in accidents and we've seen an increase in alcohol-related crashes. And studies have shown that increased traffic enforcement reduces crashes. So we're going to see an increase, see if we can bring those numbers down where they're not so excessive like we saw this past year. So. We've been added to the March Council agenda for our yearly appropriation, an appropriation not to exceed $665,000 for our 2025 vehicle purchase. We are looking to purchase 13 vehicles, one for a civil process vehicle, 4 unmarked vehicles, and 9 marked vehicles. Thank Major Cicero, Chief Otten, Chief Mechanic Bob Parks, and all the work and preparation that they've done to get this lined up so we can go and get that money to get our new cars. Our 2025 pension contribution of $1,953,593 was submitted last week for full payment. As we know, we like to get that paid all up front. That way we can get it invested and it allow us to make more money. I'd like to thank the council because 2 years ago they have included this money into our budget. So now we have a line item of it, and it's already there, it's already budgeted, and we don't have to go back so many times like we've had in years past and ask for it. It's there. It allows us to get it into the pension fund quicker. We can get it invested, and it can make us more money versus just sitting in our budget, so to speak. So. I don't have any emails or letters at this time. Next month's meeting will be April 9th at 9 a.m. and attached you will find the Detective Bureau, Jail Monthly, and Warrant Division's report.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the floor? Comments from the floor? Nothing? Yeah, I was going to say Captain Smythe was up here checking out the microphone earlier. I have nothing. Okay. No comments from the floor. Okay, thank you. Comments from the board, Ms. Mott? Jim? Laura?
Just real quick, and I probably know the answer, but I just want to reiterate that, or make the suggestion that those stats that you read, the stops versus the tickets, and then that the stops result in less crashes. Are those things that you're making public, and I know that you're on the radio every once in a while, are those things that you're taking or making known to people? Because people still do think, end of the month, got to meet the quotas. But beyond that, I just think it's important that people be reminded why these stops are made, and that, to your stats, 20% result in tickets. and again, minimizing or avoiding crashes is the end result.
I'm glad you bring that up because you're absolutely right. I try to share this information and share these stats as much as possible. Obviously, we put it out on our social media. We put it out in a press release every year. And it's up to the individual news media outlets on how they want to run this information. But you're right. I was just on the radio Monday morning in Michigan City, and I shared these exact same stats of this traffic enforcement and the citations versus the number of stats. So every opportunity that I get to share it, I do. And here's another example of sharing it just this morning, and I'm being on Elko TV and everything else as well. Yep.
Good. Thank you for that. Anything else? Okay. I want to touch base just briefly on the number of men and women within the department that applied for the promotional process. As you said, 26. That's better than a third of the department is going up for promotion, and that is incredibly exciting. It tells us that they've got some aspirations of moving up in rank, so that who knows what's going to happen. No one ever does, and I think the preparation that we have amongst the department shows that they are thinking ahead, trying to get themselves in a position to be available for promotion. Whether they get it or not, I've always found in my life that the more of that type of stuff you can expose yourself to going through the interview process and the testing process, it prepares you for the next time if you don't get it that time. So.
And a little, you're right. The number 26. I was pleased to see that as well too. So it provides a little competition as well too, and that's a good thing. Because it forces the individual deputies to maybe work harder, strive harder, and achieve different goals to try to better themselves, to stick themselves out during this process to get that promotion that may or may not come along. So yeah, I'm very excited. The future is very bright with that. Yep.
Have they been able to start picking up the books yet? Do you know?
Spoke with Major Cicero yesterday. I think all but 2 have stopped in and got their testing material to study.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Question on the vehicles. Are those going to be white again, or are we going to run a porta-pit chicken sale and try to get money to pay for those? Or?
No, they're going to be white again. A lot of people miss the brown, and I certainly do too, because I'm a traditionalist, and I actually would like to see us to go back to a brown and tan scheme like we did years ago. But unfortunately, they're going to be white again. So, but I personally, I like the white vehicles. I think they look sharp. I've gotten a lot of good positive feedback from people in the community. Have seen them and have liked them as well too. So, yep.
Good. Okay. I have nothing else. Is there anything else? Follow up on anybody? Have anything? No, nothing. Okay. Hearing nothing, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 9:17. Thank you.